Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Exist. Exist is a party game for 4 to 10 people, but I think you could probably play with more if you wanted to. But it is a game in which a drawing of cards will determine a situation that means imminent death to everybody that's sitting at the table, other than the supreme decider. That is the person that's going to judge the worthiness of the solution that you present to them. These cards are going to be some sort of crazy combination of both like a location, like a monster or a threat, basically, like the being that's trying to kill you. And then also there's a wild card. And wild card can be like an added little nuance to the situation, or it can be a game effect as well. And I'll talk about that while I show you how to play the game. You will have a deck of cards, a hand of cards that will have a resource that will allow you to defeat that situation. You are encouraged to come up with something cool, something awesome, something amazing that you will then have to defend to the other players. So once you present your card to them, the Supreme Decider will look at those cards and they will judge the cards, and they will and if they say, well, this one wouldn't work, and then if it's yours, you could probably say, well, it'll work a lot better than that one that person presented, or you could say, this is why it's awesome, this is why it would work. And the idea is that there's a little bit of a possibly a bluffing aspect to the game there, and I'll talk about that in my final thoughts. But eventually you'll pick one of the resources will be chosen, and that person will win that round, and then you'll go ahead and do another one. I'll show you how the game is played right now, and then we'll come back and give you my thoughts on this and party games in general. Okay, so this is Exist. Now, these are all the different cards you're going to have as you play the game. You have your resource cards, which are going to be the things that you're going to be using to try to convince everybody else why you are going to live through the scenario. And then there are these 3 different scenario decks here. As you can see, there are opponents, locations, and a wild card. Now, opponents and locations are pretty straightforward. It's going to be the opponent, the thing that's trying to kill you, and the location is where that thing is and where you are, and how to give you a little added spin as to the threat that's being presented to you. Now, the wild cards are something different. It could be something that's going to change the situation you're in, but also they're going to have some game effects, and I'll talk about those here in just a little bit. But for the most part, what's going to happen is each person's going to start with 7 of these resource cards. Now, these resource cards can be lots of different things, and I'll show you these 7 as I drew them. But one person is going to be handed this card. It's called the Supreme Decider card. Whoever has the Supreme Decider card is just going to be voting. They're going to be the decider of who wins. There's no rhyme or reason. They can just pick somebody randomly, whatever they want to do. Obviously, they're probably just going to do whatever they think is going to be the most fun, because that's the whole point of this game, is to have fun. I mean, technically, yes, there's a way to win, but I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But for the most part, this is just coming up with crazy scenarios and trying to present crazy ways to defeat those. But anyway, so the Supreme Decider is chosen. They are not going to pick somebody, so now we have our 7 cards. We have insecticide spray, miniaturization pills, lube, summon a black hole, a can of gas and a match, a tub full of margaritas, and the Pope. Of course, the Pope. So each person is going to have 7 of those cards, and then the Supreme Decider is just going to flip these over one by one. So the opponent for the first round is going to be breakdancing giants. The location is going to be on a rope bridge. And then the last one is going to be the Rapture. So apparently the Rapture is happening while we're battling these breakdancing giants. Now, so we can go ahead and we can just go and decide which one of these things we're going to possibly use. And what you're going for is something that you're going to be able to defend to everybody else. You're going to pick one of these cards, and maybe you're just going to pick the Pope, because, hey, the Rapture is going on. Maybe he can make sure you put in a good word for you or what have you. Or, if you have a can of gas and a match, that would probably burn down that rope bridge pretty easily. Miniaturization pills, you could use those on the giants and make them small. They'd be easy to defeat then. But whatever you pick, and let's say we're going to go with that, or we could go with lube and make that rope bridge really slippery and make those giants fall off. But anyway, so let's go with miniaturization pills, right? So you're going to turn that into the Supreme Decider, and everybody else is going to turn a card in. Let's just go ahead, and I'm just going to take some off the top of the deck like so. Let's say there's 4 players, and 5, including the Supreme Decider. So they're going to look, he or she is going to look at these. We have a lifeline, a lightsaber, and an Apache helicopter as our possible solvencies to this issue. Now, This is where, obviously, the fun comes in. They are going to look, and they should shuffle these up so they don't know who is the one, because obviously they're in the game, whoever the Supreme Decider happens to be this turn. So you don't want to game the game and like, well, I can't let that person, be the winner because they might win soon. But once again, I'll talk about the winning conditions here in a little bit. When I play these games, I don't really use a winning condition. I'm just playing it to have fun. You let the game run its course and everybody kind of enjoys themselves, and then you move on to another game. And this game does that perfectly. But regardless, so you can say, why would an Apache helicopter? Like the Supreme Decider can just say, why would that Apache helicopter help? Or, why would miniaturization pills help? Or why would a lightsaber help? Or whatever. And now it is the job of all the players, including the Supreme Decider, to decide which one of these four is the best possible. You can argue, you can say this is better than that, and whatever, but eventually the Supreme Decider is going to pick one card, they're going to say this is the winner, and they're going to do that. Now, whoever is the winner is going to get a point, and then whoever gets to 5 points is going to win the entire thing. Now, whoever discarded a card, basically everybody but the Supreme Decider, is going to go ahead and draw one more card from the top. So like we get the Internet would be our thing. And then we're going to add that to the 7 cards we still have. And then the person to you go clockwise around the table, so you just hand this off. You don't hand this off to the winner. You hand this off to the next person clockwise, and then the same thing happens again. So now we're going to have a giant tarantula, and we're going to be on a runaway roller coaster, and we have flash floods. So another crazy situation. How are you going to defeat that? Now, I mentioned the Wild deck has some things other than just added things. So they have things like this. Swap one resource card to player on your right. Or players must submit their answers within 10 seconds. So you can definitely, there's things in here that aren't necessarily like an item or whatever. Like, the sillier the better. So whatever is the silliest is going to be the best in this particular scene. An opponent may use a resource against you. So there's all kinds of Supreme Decider repos all resources, shuffles them, and deals. So there's definitely all these different things that are going to change the way that particular round goes. And it isn't just necessarily going to be like a flash flood that adds to it. It is what it is. It's a fantastic party game where everybody gets to feel like they're part of it. Everybody gets to feel like they are, coming up with something crazy or loony or whatever. It definitely has. I purposely kind of hid some of the more adult things that are in here. It definitely is a 17+ game, so keep that in mind as far as. But if you wanted to get it for your family, you definitely could just take those cards out and you could have some fun playing it. But regardless, Supreme Decider picks who lives that round. Shuffle up, deal it, and go for it again. And with the number of cards you have here, the chances of you having like duplicate situations or duplicate resources or anything that would cause one session of the game be the same as one before is not going to happen. But let me talk about that and a whole lot of other stuff in my final thoughts. Alright, so that was Exist. So, first, let me just say this game is fun. Flat out fun. It is one of those things where it's like it doesn't take more than 5 seconds to really teach somebody how to play the game. Definitely these types of games exist, and they are more for presenting a situation where people at the table are able to converse and talk and kind of bicker and argue a little bit, all in the name of having a good time, of like picking fun things. I mean, I remember, Don't Tell the Overlord game. Like, basically, like if you played that before, the one where you're the goblins talking to the Dark Overlord. I mean, so like the people are kind of combative in that game as far as like, oh, I'm not the one who caused the problem. They're the one that caused the problem. Well, in this one, it's more of like, that's not going to save your life. You can't use the Pope to save your life. You're going to definitely need to use a flamethrower in that situation. And that's why this flamethrower is a much better decision. And so that presents like the argument, the conversation, like I said, the bickering, the fun, the smile on the side of your face type of arguments that like you enjoy having with your friends. And that's what games like this create. And this is a very neat idea because it is talking, well, it's rather morbid, right? It's talking about each player meeting their end unless their thing was chosen. Now, so if that's the type of games you enjoy, if you enjoy creating that scenario, creating that story, creating that like feel at the table, you're going to enjoy this game. Party games in general, like I said, I was a huge anti-party game for the longest time. I was just like, oh, what's the point of this? I need victory points. I need dice. I need things to do. But in the last few years, I've definitely curtailed that attitude about them because of the fact that I see what they do. These are the types of games that I take to a lake cabin when I'm going to be there with my family and friends. These are the types of games that I know when I've only got an hour or so at some sort of event, and I want to be able to get people to know each other in a social setting. If they haven't met each other before, if it's a situation where it's you got to break the ice, or if it's just something where it's hey, we got a little bit of time to kill at this family function, and there's nothing else to do. Let's just do this because it will take just a few minutes to teach, and now we're having fun. And that's the whole point of party games, right? The point is to definitely enjoy yourselves with each other in a slightly antagonistic way, but in a good-natured antagonistic way. Obviously, if you're sitting there drinking a few beers and having a more of an adult setting, this is definitely going to be something that is going to be enhanced by that. I could definitely there's a few bars in town that I go through where they're basically breweries, right? And that definitely have a stockpile of these types of games, and I always see people playing these, and this would definitely fit in that setting very much. Now, I have never seen the point of having a goal to win these games, if that makes sense to you. I've never seen the point of it's I gotta be the person who scores 5 points first. No, I mean, you can play like that if you want to. Go ahead. If that turns your crank, go for it. Do it, live it, love it. But for me, it's just what's the crazy situation that I can come up with? What's the craziest answer I can come up with, and then defend that? That's where I have fun with this. And definitely, that's one of those situations where, depending upon your group, depending upon you, depending upon everybody else, that's how you're going to have fun. And the fabulous thing about Exist is it allows you to find your own fun within the parameters of this scenario that the game gives you. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. So there you go. That is Exist. If you have any questions about it, or comments about party games at all, I would love to hear those. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm going to, once again, tell everybody out there, hey, be the best possible version of you that you possibly can be. Be the person that people want to hang out with. Be the person that has the smile on their face and the happiness that goes out, because the happiness then will come back in. Until next time, this is me, the Undead Viking, telling you, be awesome. All right.